Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. First of all, I want to apologize for not posting recently. It's been about 5-6 days that I haven't posted on this channel, but I figured I'd make this a video. We're all bloggers. We all create content on our websites here. We're all creating blog posts. I'm going to make this video because I want to show you a plugin called Mermaid Chart on ChatGPT. And I think it's useful for a lot of different people who have blog posts, maybe in the health, fitness niche, or maybe not even, maybe in the business niche as well. If you're in the finance niche, basically, if you want to create a flow chart, you might not necessarily need Canva to do it. You could use it with Mermaid Chart with this AI here. And so I wanted to make this video, like I said, to break down what Mermaid Chart is. And maybe if you already know what Mermaid Chart is, this actually might help you create some better charts. So I'll explain. Mermaid Chart is a website that can allow you to create flowcharts, and you could actually see here how it works, right? And there's a video on their website that show with a certain type of, I guess you could say, format, you can create these kind of flowcharts. You could see here Christmas marked in a bracket, letter A, with an arrow, and then text, right? Like says get money in a bracket, then another arrow, go shopping, right? That kind of format is what allows people to create flowcharts with Mermaid Chart. Now, prior to GPT, I never heard of Mermaid Chart. Not that it, was something that I ever used. Whenever I needed to create a graphic or something like that, I would go into Canva and do it. This could potentially save you guys some time. So what I did here was I enabled the plugin Mermaid Chart on ChatGPT, and I said, show me what Mermaid Chart can do, and with a chart-based representation. And so it didn't do that right away. It started creating text, and it kind of explained to me the workflow process. And I think it's actually important for me to understand the workflow process so that in the future, if I ever ask it to create a flow chart for me or a diagram of some sort with sequences or anything like that, I can kind of prompt it in a way to get better. And I'm going to say this now, and I've said this before, maybe once or twice, but I'm going to keep saying this into the future. I don't think necessarily the people who are more intelligent are going to do better in the future when it comes to making money online, whether it be blogging or some other avenue. I think it's people who know how to work synchronously with AI to perform better and do better. I think tools of AI and automation, things like that, are the tools of the future. Not only are they here to come, but they're here to stay. And if you can learn how to use these tools to develop into, I guess you could say, just better business processes and do things faster and more efficient, you can get much more results and more importantly, more effective. So it's a matter of understanding and prompting properly as opposed to just doing it yourself. It's like, imagine if you had a robot and your robot could do anything, but you had to learn to speak the language of the robot to do anything for you. You could have it build a house for you if you wanted to. You just have to learn how to speak the language. Right? And that's really what prompting is. So this is the first look of it. And there's really nothing in my head that I know about that's more powerful than OpenAI's GPT right now, other than obviously the image generation, things like that. But things are getting crazy. I mean, you can make videos through AI and things like that, but I'm not going to ramble too much. Let's go ahead and continue. So first thing it's doing is it's giving me a breakdown of a flowchart, and it's kind of explaining everything here. And you can see a flowchart is a type of diagram that represents a workflow process, right? So imagine you have a blog for fitness, for example, and you're trying to teach people how to, build more muscle. You can create a flowchart technically on how that works, right? You go to the gym, break down the muscle, get the nutrients, eating properly, and then muscle recovers, comes back stronger, larger, etc. So that's an example. Here we have a sequence diagram, which you can kind of see here. It says Alice, arrow speaks to John. Hello, how are you? John speaks to Alice. Great, etc. So that is an example of a sequence. So almost like a cause and effect, a step 1, step 2 kind of thing, right? A sequence of events. Here we have a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is a type of bar chart that illustrates a project schedule. So, for example, you have Gantt. He has his title, right? Gantt diagram, the date format, the section, okay, the task, and then another task, and then XYZ task, and so on and so forth. And then here we have a class diagram. So you have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, class 6, and so on. You have the size, you have what they equal, right? The object, the element, the data. And this is just data around the different class. So it could be, the data could be the average score, students scored on a test, or whatever the case may be. And then here you have mind map. So a mind map is basically how you can organize information in a hierarchy. And it actually says that here, but you can see here how mind maps are starting to develop. Now, this is just an example. So it doesn't, like, this information here might not necessarily, mean anything to you until you try to have it created. And then you can create here a quadrant chart as well. So if you're familiar with the quadrant charts, you have 4 quadrants: the right, the left, right, the bottom 2, the 2 on the bottom, and you have the X, Y, the XX, the X, the YY, taking it back to like geometry class, and so on. So it asked me here, would you like to see a visual representation of any of these examples? I said absolutely. So it gave me one of a flow chart here, and I want to show you the flow chart because the flow chart is pretty much the most simple of all of them, because it's literally just you could think of it kind of very similar to the sequence. It's just the difference is the matter that goes inside of it. But you here have a start, you have do something. You can either choose to do something, which is yes, or you could do no. And then, is it done? Yes, and then the end. So it's kind of like this is a flow chart. Now, this is, like I said, just an example. And so I prompted GPT to just give me an example, right? It didn't have to be anything, too crazy. And so after kind of learning and discovering what this can do, I asked it, can it do a flow chart for ATP? Now, so I noticed this. I don't know if you guys noticed this as well. If I tell GPT to create something for me while it's working with a plugin, and I leave the web browser, right, and I go to like another page or something like that, or another tab, typically, and maybe I'm wrong, this isn't maybe just my experience, but for some reason it crashes and it tells me like, oh, we couldn't do it, right? And you could see here, that's kind of what happened here. It says I'm encountering an issue. I just said, please try again. This time I left my browser completely on and focused on it, and guess what? It did it for me like a champ. So I asked it to do a visual representation of the ATP process. So biology, let's take things back. You got ATP, adenosine triphosphate, adenosine, where is it here? It's adenosine triphosphate, exactly, I was right, which is there's an ATP process, starts off glycolysis, pyruvate decarboxylation, Krebs cycle, etc., ATP synthesis, ATP utilization. So it just kind of shows this process. If you're writing a research paper for school, if you have a blog, if you have, I can just, the list go on and on and on, how useful something like this is. And at the end of the day, it's just another tool in your tool belt to make things more effective and honestly produce a quicker, faster result. So that's really what it comes down to. And am I going to use this for the future in some of my blog posts? Absolutely. I've just been super busy on some other things, working on my blogs, of course. Not the blogs that you guys see here publicly on this YouTube channel, but really, really hard on some other blog posts and some other things going on. And, I've been grinding just like you guys. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully this video was somehow effective. Some of you guys can use it in some of your businesses, maybe for school, maybe for whatever. And I'm actually curious, are you going to use this more for your blog or for school? Let me know. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out. Bye.